brother, for his brothers and little brothers and sisters, and he was a great son who was on the cusp of becoming a man. I mean, Christine and Elmore did everything to prepare him for this moment. He was so close. He was right there. You're going to hear his father talk about him had a good football season last year, but this season he was really ready to go to the next level, to go to Division I.
On Monday morning, Nolan Wells was supposed to be at a Division I football tryout. Instead, his parents were standing beside Ben Crump in Harlem, asking investigators to release every record connected to their son's death. 4 days ago, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office said there was no evidence of foul play. Today, this family flew to New York. They stood at the National Action Network headquarters, and they demanded investigators release every witness statement, every investigative record, and every finding connected to this case. He had a D1 tryout on Monday. He went to Horn Island on Saturday. He never made it back. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old, a college wide receiver at Southwest Mississippi Community College who went to Horn Island on July 4th with a group of friends to celebrate the holiday. His friends came back. He didn't. His body was found 2 days later off the island's northwest tip. Investigators said they suspected he drowned. No foul play at this stage. That was 4 days ago. Here's what changed. Saturday, a group of friends goes to Horn Island. Nolan does not come back. Sunday, the search begins. His body is found. No foul play suspected. Monday, his parents get his phone back. They go through it. Tuesday, they retain Ben Crump. The independent autopsy is commissioned. Wednesday, Nolan's body is flown to Washington, D.C. Thursday, Christine Wansley goes on Good Morning America. Friday, the family is in Harlem. 7 days, from a July 4th boat trip to a press conference at the National Action Network in New York. What happened in between is the investigation. Christine Wansley is Nolan's mother. On Friday morning, she sat in front of a camera on Good Morning America and said something that has been shared hundreds of thousands of times. If you go with 5, you come back with 5. 5 people got on that boat. 4 came back. Her son did not. That is the thing she keeps coming back to. But it is not the only thing she found. When Nolan went missing on July 4th, his phone was not with him. His keys were not with him. Both were in the possession of friends on the boat. His mother tracked his phone using Life, the location-sharing app families use to know where their kids are. She found the phone, she recovered it herself, then she went through it. She opened his Snapchat. He had 2 accounts. Both were empty. She told GMA it wasn't even 24 hours, which is how long videos and pictures stay in Snapchat. Even my sister was like, yeah, that's suspicious. Nolan was a frequent Snapchat user. Hours on a holiday weekend with a group of friends, and not a single saved video or photo on either account. His mother knew immediately that something was wrong. Hold on to that, because when the press conference happened in Harlem, that detail was part of why she was standing there. That wasn't all. When Christine compared his location history between Life and Snapchat, the 2 records did not match. 2 pieces of digital evidence from her son's phone. 2 different pictures of where he had been. She could not reconcile them. She said, "No young person leaves their cell phone. 18-year-olds do not voluntarily separate from their phones. Not on a holiday, not on a boat, not at a party. His phone was with his friends. His keys were with his friends. His Snapchat was empty. His life did not match." That is what sent his mother to New York. So if the sheriff says there's no evidence of foul play, why is the family asking for every investigative record? Because Christine's discovery is not the only thread. There are 3 more. First, the video. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office specifically asked the public for original, unedited videos or photos showing any alleged altercations involving Nolan on July 4th. They used that word. Altercations. Ben Crump described a video that he says exists, his characterization on an official description, of Nolan saying something to the effect of, "Give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?" That is Crump's description. Authorities have not publicly confirmed what any video shows. What is confirmed? Investigators asked for it by name. Second, the Coast Guard timeline. A friend of Nolan's placed a call to the Coast Guard at approximately 11 at night on July 4th. a private call, before the family was even formally notified that Nolan was missing. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office did not formally request Coast Guard assistance until approximately noon the following day. That is 13 hours between the first Coast Guard contact and the sheriff's official request. 13 hours. Why the gap? What happened during those 13 hours? The family wants to know. Investigators have not publicly addressed the timeline discrepancy. Third, the witness accounts. Crump says the accounts from the people on that boat are conflicting. That is his word. Conflicting. He has not specified which accounts conflict or how. The sheriff's office has said it is working to establish the facts. They have not publicly addressed whether accounts are inconsistent. An empty Snapchat, a 13-hour gap in the Coast Guard response. Conflicting witness accounts according to the family's attorney. The official investigation has not publicly addressed any of them in detail. This investigation isn't over. Crime Deepcut will be here when the next chapter begins. The sheriff says one thing, the family says another. Ben Crump is asking for something different. And online, people have already decided the case. Let's go through each one, because they are not the same story. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office. No evidence of foul play at this stage. Investigators suspect Nolan drowned. The investigation is continuing. They have asked the public for any videos or photos showing alleged altercations. The official autopsy has been performed. Cause of death has not been released. Christine and Elmore Wansley. Grieving, also asking questions. Not publicly accusing anyone, not claiming they know what happened. Saying, something does not add up. They want to see the investigation that will prove whether or not they are right. Christine's words. At the end of the day, I would hope any parent would fight for their kids to find out if anything happened. Ben Crump. Running an independent review alongside the official investigation. His language is specific and deliberate. Transparency, records, urgency. Those are legal words. In his words, we are in a ferocious pursuit for the truth. He also said something that placed this case in a specific context. This is the state where Emmett Till was lynched, not as an accusation, as a statement about why the family will not accept a narrative they cannot verify. The public. Online communities have already reached conclusions. Social media is full of theories, accusations, comparisons to historical cases. The family has not endorsed those conclusions. Neither has Crime Deepcut. One more documented detail. Ashley Cole, the parent of one of the friends on the boat, is a Jackson County judge. She deactivated her Facebook account after photos of her children circulated widely online. That is a documented fact reported by CNN, not an accusation. 4 narratives running simultaneously, none of them resolved. Understanding why each of them exists and what each one is actually based on is the investigation. When the family retained Ben Crump, one of the first decisions they made was to commission an independent autopsy. Not in Mississippi, in Washington, D.C. The reason was specific. They wanted a medical examiner with no ties to Mississippi law enforcement examining their son's body. That decision, choosing independence and distance, is itself a statement about the family's level of trust in the process. Colin Kaepernick is paying for the independent autopsy. Tyler Perry is paying for Nolan's funeral. 2 public figures who have never met Nolan Wells, both choosing to step into this specific case with financial support. A family in Ocean Springs is pushing through the worst grief of their lives trying to understand what happened to their son. And 2 of the most visible names in American public life decided this was the case that required their involvement. The medical examiner is specifically investigating whether Nolan sustained any injuries unrelated to drowning, not confirming or denying that he drowned. Asking, was there anything else going on? Was there anything on or in his body that suggests his death was more complicated than a simple drowning? The independent autopsy is now underway. The findings have not yet been released publicly. The official state autopsy has already been performed. Those results have not been publicly released either. 2 autopsies, 2 different timelines, 2 different levels of institutional independence, both asking the same question. What actually happened to Nolan Wells on Horn Island? When the autopsy results come, when the investigation reaches its next chapter, Crime Deepcut will go through everything. This investigation isn't over. We'll be here when the next chapter begins. 2 investigations now run in parallel. the Jackson County Sheriff's Office investigation. Active, ongoing, no cause of death released, no charges, no foul play established. The family's independent investigation. A new attorney, a new autopsy, a demand for every record and every witness account. Neither investigation is finished. Neither has answered the central question. What happens when both conclusions are reached? What happens if they agree, and what happens if they do not, will define this case. The questions being asked in Harlem, in Mississippi, in Washington, D.C., across the country, they are the same questions Nolan's mother has been carrying since the morning she found out her son was not on that boat. She went through his phone, she found an empty Snapchat, she found a life history that did not match, she found a phone that should have been in her son's pocket, in someone else's hands. And she said what any mother would say: if you go with 5, you come back with 5. He left home expecting to return in time for football. His parents are still waiting for answers, until investigators can explain everything that happened between Horn Island and that final phone call, the empty Snapchat, the 13-hour gap, the accounts that don't match. This story isn't over. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old. He played football for Ocean Springs High School. He was heading into his second year at Southwest Mississippi Community College. He had a game season coming. He had a birthday in August. He had a D1 tryout on Monday. He went to Horn Island on Saturday. He didn't come home. His name was Nolan. Crime Deepcut stays on this case.